Look at this, I'm going over a pothole in the wet. Well, let's go through that puddles. Easy, like going through it in a car. Whoa! And I just jammed on the front brake there. Look at what it just stopped on. It's a greasy, horrible road. Look at this bike. Never seen anything like it. So here we are then, riding the Yamaha Niken in terrible conditions and absolutely loving it. I can't believe it. This bike's front end grip is phenomenal. It goes around corners with ease. It feels actually like a regular motorcycle. It looks from the cockpit like a regular motorcycle. And in these horrible, drizzly, dreary conditions, this bike feels amazing. It's planted. It's going across streams of water with ease. I have grip at the front twice as much as usual. And it's just a really relaxed riding position, and it's effortless. I'm really impressed. I've never even ridden this bike before. These are my first moments on it. It really feels like a real motorcycle, and I have a lot of confidence and feeling in this front end. I have twice the grip, and it is a really nice planted feeling on the front. Oh my goodness. So the engine and the overall bike in many ways resembles a lot from the Yamaha 900 Tracer GT, but there are many differences, one of which is the front end. Now this looks like a really nasty corner, slippy, looked like there was also something down there. And I had no nervous feeling at all from the front. It was just planted. And these are really horrible conditions for any motorcyclist, but I'm really able to just put it into the corners and go around the turn and hold my line around the corner as well without much lean angle. I've absolutely, in my own mind, hated this bike from the minute I saw it, and now I find myself riding through corners and loving it. Now this was really unexpected, but how can a three-wheeled motorbike, especially with two at the front, even feel like a motorcycle? But this is Yamaha, and they build brilliant motorcycles. Wow, I just can't believe really the feel. I'm kind of still nervous to push it because I'm already riding you know, more than fast enough in these conditions, and it just feels really confidence inspiring up there on the front. You know, these are the conditions that, you know, you just hate riding in. They take so much concentration. See there, I just drifted over onto the white line, and I didn't feel it at all unsettle the front. Now if I'd have done that just with a normal conventional motorcycle, I would have definitely felt it, because there is no grip on the paint. Right, well these corners are pretty easy going, so let's get on something a little bit more bumpy and tight and twisty and just see how that goes. Okay, so now we're just going down some tighter, twistier roads. It's very uneven, there's leaves, it's slippy, I can feel it on the ground with my feet. It's definitely... See how she gets around here. What? Wow. This is surprising me because I love motorbikes and I have really disliked looking at this thing, but now I'm riding it, and especially in these conditions when you know, they're really horrible conditions. You know, look at it, it's slippy, there's leaves on the floor, it's raining, we're going through deeper water, and then it's all the things that you'd find on a motorcycle really tricky to do. But not on this motorcycle. Look at that. It's like my mind is now just thinking so much more about the rear of the bike. See how it does through this horrible bumps. You see, like, I've come up there on many motorcycles and it's horrible. In fact, I try and avoid it, and it soaked it up really well. Another one here. Yeah, so it's very well planted on the front, and the suspensions is good. Like, look at this road, bloody horrible, right? Yeah, but it doesn't feel that bad on this bike. It just soaks it up nicely. Have a few speed bumps here. Yeah, you see, you really feel it kind of like different at the front and then the back of the bike, because the back still feels like a regular motorcycle, of course. And so you still get kind of some kickback going over the bumps, but you just don't get that from the front. And I can really understand why this motorcycle has not really been that well received by motorcyclists in general, just because it looks so weird. It really does, but like, let's just take that out of it. It's got a really great personality, so forget about the looks, right? You know, as a motorcyclist, you want to get out and ride every day, right? And this is a motorcycle, wow, that you really can, and you can enjoy it too. And I do enjoy riding in the wet, but you know, there's one thing riding in the wet on the street and one thing riding on the wet on track. And the thing is with the street is that it's forever changing, the grip, the surface, what's on the surface, potholes, road conditions, all of those kind of things. So you really got to be careful, because really any one corner can be different from another. Look at this, I'm going over a pothole in the wet, really to be avoided on any motorcycle, and I'm doing it on purpose because I want to know how this feels. Now, you'd never do this around a corner usually. Pothole, corner. You see, I felt it get nervous at the back, as I'd expect it to, but I didn't feel that from the front. You know, like the riding position as well, you're really relaxed on it, so you're not over the front. When you actually corner, you're in a very balanced place. Usually on motorcycles they pitch a bit at the front, you see, when you brake, and unless you're riding something like a BMW GS or something like that, but usually most bikes, you know, they really pitch at the front, but this doesn't seem to pitch that badly. Well, it's not often that you ride in conditions like this and you actually feel confident on a motorcycle, and I can actually say that I do. I feel really confident, and I really do enjoy riding in the rain, so this allows me to be, you know, just really enjoying it and concentrating on my lines and going around corners, instead of just worrying at every step of the way of like how bad the grip is, and just really trying to be overly focused with the front end. I'm not. Like, look at this, there's running water in the middle of the corner there. That's usually horrible. Didn't even feel it. A tight set of corners, especially this one, just really tightens up on itself. Beautiful. What an unusual concept, what an unusual look, but what a wonderful ride. Be interested to know how it feels in the dry for sure, but in these conditions, love it. Look at this, streams of water, tight corner, got a car behind me. Usually I'd be worried on a motorcycle because you're like, oh, I've got somebody behind me who wants to get past. I don't feel like that at all. I feel really relaxed on this bike. I feel like I can go around corners with ease. I don't feel pressured from the car driver behind because I'm able to maintain his speed, probably go faster. Now the power is really smooth. It's a 900. Yamaha do a few 900s. You've got the 09 and then you've also got the Tracer, and this is just really smooth, easy riding, easy. It's not got like an aggressive power band at all, and in these conditions just kind of perfect at the bottom end, because it means you can just use the torque and the power, but you can just keep the RPM low and just overall go steady on the bike. Now you can't get overly confident because you've only got limited amount of grip at the back. You've probably got less grip really at the back than you have at the front now, so you know, those are other ways to just make sure that you don't push it too far. But you know, like I said, riding in these conditions on a motorcycle, it's usually you're really worried about the front end. Especially you're worried about going over potholes, you're worried about the grip of the road surface changing, you're worried about going over paint, these streams of water that cross the road. All of those things affect you on a motorbike, but they really just do not affect this motorcycle at all. You know, and behind the bars I really can't see that there are two wheels at the front at all, and so from up here it actually looks like a regular motorcycle. You know, it operates like a regular motorcycle. It really feels like a regular motorcycle, but in these conditions it doesn't, because it feels better. It feels way better. I mean, look at that. If that had been me on a regular motorcycle on this road, I would have hated that guy. He just pulled across right in front of me, and I would have had to get on the brakes, and I would have been worried about stopping and all of those things in these conditions. But no, not on this. I didn't even flinch, because I knew that the bike wasn't going to feel, you know, nervous at the front when I jumped on the front brake, and it didn't. Now Yamaha makes some really interesting motorcycles anyway, right through from beginner bikes through to super bikes, and I know that this was aimed at the sport tourer. It's a funny category, the sport tourer, because it's like Yamaha have the Tracer 900 GT, which is I guess like a sport tourer too. Is where you can still be tripping off on long hauls, but you just don't want to be riding, let's say, a full-blown adventure bike. You want something maybe that's a little sportier, but you don't want to be riding a sport bike. So the sport touring bikes, you can still click by lots of miles and still be comfortable. But good grief, this is really, really, really comfortable to ride, because there's just no fatigue on the wrists at all. You're in a very relaxed riding position, and it's slightly less stress. And I wouldn't say that motorcycling is stressful at all. In fact, I feel like it's a stress reliever, but it takes a lot of concentration, and in these particular conditions are where you're really heightened concentration, and you know, it can be kind of quite exhausting when you're doing riding like this for long periods of time, even short periods of time actually. So you know, it's just easier like that, and so that just makes it less stressful, right? It's just an easier ride. Now I understand why it's in the sport touring range, because it is actually really quite sporty, and you can ride it pretty much everywhere, and definitely in all weather conditions. And the way that I'd usually, you know, be getting feedback, I'll be getting feedback through the handlebars, so I'll be really trying to stay in touch with what's going on with the front tyre, and the same from the rear. I'm really just not worried about the front at all. Well, let's go through that puddle, see how it feels through deep water. And that was definitely deep. Right. Easy, like going through it in a car. Let's try braking in it. Yeah, same. Braking here, right on the paint. Still stops perfect. Now Yamaha still say that this is crashable, so it's not like you can just throw a caution to the wind. But what you can do is really enjoy the ride. I mean, I've always enjoyed riding in the rain, and probably because I grew up just doing plenty of it in England. I used to enjoy racing in the rain. It's never really bothered me. But you know, road conditions are different all the time, and you know, this is very precarious, and you have to be very, very, very careful. But this bike just feels so planted, so good, so confidence inspiring. And that's why I really wanted to ride it in these conditions. I wasn't that interested in riding in the dry as much as I was in the wet, because I really wanted to know is it better in these conditions? And my goodness, it is. So especially if you're an all year rider like many of us are, you're gonna love it. I tell you, you're gonna absolutely love it when you have to ride it in these conditions. This is the best bike I've ever ridden on the street in the rain, bar none. And that says something, because I've ridden a lot of great motorcycles. So riding in the rain can actually be really an interesting and pleasurable experience, but it's not if the grip's super low and you're panicking around every corner, right? So yeah, the grip is low, but I'm just not worried about the corners in the same way. I'm still taking it fairly steady, but I just don't have that same worry hanging over my head. Now this corner's terrible because it's all got some dirt. It's usually a worst time I tipping into here. Oh my goodness, that just fell perfect. I was really worried then how that was going to go through there, but it didn't even flinch. You know, these tight little twisty roads, there's plenty of leaves down. I might have to just do an emergency brake around any of these blind corners. So you know, when the grip's low on the road, you're usually really going steady. And I'm not just throwing caution to the wind or going fast, but I just don't have that same worry that I usually have riding in these conditions, and that just feels really great. It feels like an extra level of freedom almost, because it's just an easier ride. But it's not taking away from the actual ride of the bike, you know what I mean? Look at this, horrible on the floor, leaves, gravel, you never know what's around the corner, and this bike just feels planted. Oh! Wow! Oh my goodness, look at this. And I just jammed on the front brake there. This bike did amazing. Good grief. I love this bike even more after that. Wow. Look at what it just stopped on. It's a greasy, horrible road. And a tree down. And nobody around. Good grief. Whoa. Amazing. Look at this big thing. Wow. Look at this bike. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm not joking, I've seen this thing on the street and I've not even waved at people that have been riding them. And now I find myself riding one and be like, oh damn. I totally underestimated this bike. You know, like here. This would be horrible usually. Muddy. I've got to turn around. I'm going up a big curb. See, like I'm more worried than what the bike's capable of, because you know, this is my first time on it. I've only been on it a little while, but like the bike's able to handle things that are precarious on a motorcycle, and it handles them really well. Wow. See that? I made a mistake there because the water brought out, you know, the mud onto the road, and that would have been a really precarious moment there on a conventional motorcycle. But you know, it just didn't feel at all dangerous. Like here, you know, I'm getting slides from the back and I'm not getting anything from the front. I usually hate going downhill in these conditions because it's like I said, precarious. Look at these leaves. I'm not getting any negative feeling at all back through the bars. So that's the wet. What's she going to be like in the dry?
If you like this, then don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell. But most important, whenever you can, just go for a ride.